So, but it's Christmas, you know, and it's interesting. I think you're all familiar with the fact that, you know, the planet basically has 4 corners of time. I don't know. We have 4 seasons, and they change it around the 21st of every 3rd month, right? So, but as you know, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere is different. So whereas for us right now, in the northern hemisphere, the days are starting to get longer, right? So we've hit the 21st. Well, not yet, actually. When you hit the 21st, it's supposed to be the shortest day. Now, what's very interesting is, and I think this has to do with, you know, I think there's a little mix-up on the real birthday of Jesus. Everybody knows that. You know, this is not the time to get into all of that at all, but I just want to bring it up. And the birth date and the death date, and, you know, because think about it. There's an interesting phenomenon with the sun. The sun hits its lowest point when it's in the northern hemisphere on December 21st. And then it doesn't go anywhere for 3 days. And then it rises up. And I think that goes back to pre-Christ. This time of year was celebrated because it was actually the beginning of the crops, because there's a word called fecundation, which means you know, that things under the ground are like getting ready to become spring. You know, that's what it's fecundating. It's a really cool word, and that's what it means. So fecundation is occurring, and this is kind of like in the center of it all is on December 21st. But it takes 3 days. The sun doesn't move. It's stationary, which is kind of like the death and resurrection of Christ, but that would have been in March, April. So, anyway, I've always been a little bit confused about that particular area. But anyway, so this is a celebrated time. It's celebrated by pagans. It's celebrated by Jews, Muslims, Christians, many people. I think Buddhists and Hindus, Hindu, this is the month of Diwali, which is a big celebration. It's like their Christmas. It's very big, beautiful, wonderful celebration. And then the Hindus, the Buddhists don't really have this kind of thing. Buddhism more is like, there are days that are holy days, where you spend more time at the temple than you would on a regular day, and you do a lot more meditation and a lot more chanting on those days. But that's basically it. Yeah. So there's not many of you here today. It's Christmas. I don't blame you. You're eating dinner with your families and all that. We had Christmas here yesterday, so for me it's Monday morning. But good morning to everyone, and good evening to everyone, and like this. Chiang Mai. In Japan we bathe in yuze bath. Yuze, I never heard of yuze bath. That's pretty interesting. That's very cool. So, but anyway, this is the time of the year. It's the time of the year for that kind of thing. So it's basically, really when we look at winter. So, but remember, Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand, Australia, South America, Africa, they're all beginning summer, right? Completely different. Interesting. And what else is very interesting? Water goes down the opposite way when you flush the toilet, or when you turn the sink on. The swirl goes in the opposite direction. Very interesting. And I really don't know the constellations. I don't think I've ever really spent enough time in the southern hemisphere to look at the skies to see how different the constellations are. I just wonder how different they are. Yeah, the whole thing with the sun stopping on December 21st, not really moving south at all, and then arising on the third day. Sound familiar? Sounds pretty Easterish, but it's in December, and it is on December 25th. And as we know, that's we can't say, well, Israel's in the southern hemisphere, because it's not. Israel's like, I don't know, something like 29 degrees latitude, so it's up above the equator. So let us look at our questions, and then hopefully, you know, the guys that didn't make it on here, and hey, Facebook, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say. Every week I have a problem with Facebook. Every week. I mean, Instagram and TikTok, you just you turn it on. What is that? Facebook? What? You have too many people? Why don't we fix that? Let's move. I'm also going to go on to when my thing is going to start. My membership is going to start in January. What I'm trying to do is get a few days from a chance to do some real real videos for you guys. Just me focusing on specific topics with details, because you all want to know details. I know you do. You ask me your questions, okay? Right. Respect for all religions. You know, religions are. It's interesting. I was thinking about this earlier. And I've thought about it a lot through my life. You know, there's supposed to be like a division between religion and politics, right? But then in our country, you know, in America, it's in God we trust. When you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you're talking about God and things like that. So they never really separated. And really, what's really bizarre is that most wars, which are political, obviously, come about because of religious conflicts. So I don't think religion and politics ever separated. They're really the same. You know, so finding out someone's religion is almost like finding out their politics, to some degree, not all. But basically, think about it. Think of all the wars, most of the wars. Not all of them. A lot of wars that when we look back on, when we go back to the French Revolution and you know, things like those are all economically. It was all economic, and the Civil War in the United States was that way. But the Revolution in America, separating from Britain with the help of Russia, was all economic, right? So there's like economic reasons. But other than that, there's a lot, like even right now, there's a lot, you know. Nations are considered different religions. Like I think America's considered a Christian country, whereas obviously Israel is considered a Jewish country, and then all the Arabic, all the Mid-Eastern are considered Muslim. Indonesia is considered Muslim, and it's a pretty big country, you guys. Pretty big country. Let me bring you guys together. Let's bring this Facebook and TikTok together here so I can look at you both at the same time. Cool. So anyway, let's go to these questions, all right? Because they're pretty cool, as I remember. Yeah. All right. So, okay, so good question. Trying to find it. Anyway, okay. I try having, and then now this may be common to a lot of people. Says I try having green juices, but I end up with severe diarrhea the moment it's going down. It lasts at least 16 to 20 hours. That's a pretty long time. I then have to stop after half a glass of juice and take bentonite clay to stop the diarrhea, or at least to settle it somewhat. I could tolerate the diarrhea to some degree. It's actually the excessive urine output caused by inflammation in colon pressing on the bladder. Thus, I get no sleep. Anyway, if you're having these kind of problems with a juice cleanse, then don't do it. It's not time to do it. It's time to heal in other ways. All right? I mean, unless you're willing to go through it, it's going to be a healing process. But our guts, the reason that you're having the diarrhea, the reason that we do this is because our guts lose their tight junctions. And we get a very severe dysbiosis, meaning we have a real mix-up of unhealthy bacteria that are living in there. And they wind up producing, they don't really like the fiber from the little bit of fiber that's in juices. They're not really like that. The really bad, unhealthy bacteria, the ones that are not really in our best interest, they love Burger King and fast food and kebabs and all that stuff. That's what they love. So they're kind of like that. So anyway, the ones that love fiber, that ferment fiber into butyric acid, that's really, really, and butyrate, which is really, really important for us. They need just lettuce, broccoli, cabbage. They need celery, cucumber. They need cellulose, and then they need the seeds. They also need the seeds like chia seeds. We talked about chia seeds before, which is a lot of what they call soluble fiber, right? You drop some water on it, kind of gets larger and wet. It absorbs water, absorbs a large amount of water. And anyway, both the soluble and insoluble fibers are not digestible in our small intestines, so they wind up going down to our large intestines. And in our large intestines is where all the magic happens, right? And that's why we have all those bacteria, and that's why we have an appendix, by the way. Appendix is absolutely necessary. It's not what is termed ridiculously by the medical profession as a vestigial organ, meaning it's left over from our evolutionary process. It's ridiculous. It's a nursery. It keeps growing all the good, healthy bacteria in case there's a catastrophe, which happens all the time. Whether or not you're living a natural life or living an unnatural life, you're going to run into chemicals and stuff that might destroy your healthy bacteria, and you need to replenish your gut right away. Yeah. I mean, going right in line with what we just answered. Okay, so I don't know if I answered that correctly. I'm going to answer your question about magnesium, but here, you're saying that you can't do that. So what I would recommend to somebody who can't drink juice, you're really having a diarrhea. It's just not. Yeah. Okay. What I really recommend is that you do a water fast for a few days. Water fasts are easier than juice fasts, believe it or not. And the reason they may be harder the first 3 days, psychologically, not physically. Psychologically, they're harder the first few days because I'm not eating. But, you get past that. And how do you do that? How do you get past that? How do you do a fast? What's the best thing to do? Well, I don't have any here with me. I have books, but I don't have those books. But I have a book. You get a book called The Science and Fine Art of Fasting by Herbert M. Shelton, or Fasting Can Save Your Life by Herbert M. Shelton, or one by Bragg. Big picture of Bragg with a big face on there, smiling. An old book. These guys are the ones who did it all way in the beginning. Or go back to Hereward Carrington. Hereward, Hereward, Carrington. Around 1915, he published 1910. But books on the longevity and of fasting, and he'll take you through many people that have fasted. So when you're going through a fast, it's time to read about it. Don't read about eating. Don't read about digestive problems. Don't read about things that are going to just stimulate your appetite. Okay, you want to read about. You're going to read about the miracles. Miracle. There's nothing less than a miracle of fasting. Your body gets healed. Okay, so when you're reading about that, you're going, oh, wow. It gives you like the strength to go on. And so remember, you got to get past the first day. You get past the first day and go to sleep early, because you don't want to say the famous word that human beings always say, which is, I'll start tomorrow. You don't want to do that, okay? Don't start tomorrow. Start today. Just do it. Just do it. Get past day 1, day 2, and then day 3, you're going to say, what? I'm not hungry. Day 4, huh? So what we mistake for hunger, as you know, is appetite. And as soon as the appetite's gone, you're fine. And you can keep going. And just make sure you put salt in your, in about like a half a glass of water twice a day, so that you got, lots of electrolytes and stuff like that. You'll be fine. You might get weak and tired and all that. You're going through stuff. You're letting junk out. You're getting rid of stuff. That's why you're doing it. You're not going to be running around. You will to a degree, and you will for a certain amount of time. I mean, I had a doctor working with me over here in Phuket who did a lot of fasting. Excuse me. And he did, I think he got up to like 14 days while working. So 14, maybe even 21 days while working. Yeah, so anyway, so do the water fast, because that'll really allow your tight junctions. So it sounds like if you're getting a lot of diarrhea, you're just not healed. Your gut's really not healed very well. So you're not assimilating food. It's just, it's just going through. So that would be helpful. And then if you're not ready for that, I mean, I'm very happy to guide you on that. But if you're not ready for that, then just start eating healthy. Eat 100% uncooked food. Start eating vegetables, plants, salads, fantastic salads. A lot of chia seed. Make chia seed porridge. A lot of flaxseed. A lot of seed butters and nut butters. Just eat that, and eat vegetables and plants. And eat within a 4-hour window every day. 4 to 6 hour window every day. Okay, so you have your first meal around 11 a.m. or 12. And you finish at 5. Do that. You do that for about a month or 6 weeks, and then try your juice feast, and you'll see that it'll happen easily. Okay. So anyway, someone else just said you get severe bloating and all that from magnesium. Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of magnesium you're taking. It sounds like you're taking way too much. Are you taking it to move your bowels? Because it is a good laxative in that regard. Just like vitamin C can be a good laxative in that regard. I'm not sure how you're taking the magnesium, but you can take it in smaller amounts so that you don't get that problem. Now remember, everything green has got chlorophyll, and at the center of the chlorophyll molecule is magnesium, so you're getting lots of magnesium when you're eating and drinking green juices, eating green food and eating green juices. All right, so basically, so on this person here who had said to me about the green juices, I guess my reply that is, it sounds like it's time for a water fast, let's talk about it. And then she said, I only weigh 38 kilos. So she was worried, yeah, so I'm deficient in nutrients. So yeah, perfectly. So yeah, so take the third thing we talked about, and that is just start eating really healthy food. All right, eat vegetables, eat tomatoes, cucumbers, celery, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, arugula, spinach. Make yourself just wonderful salads. Find dressings that you like. You got to find 3 or 4 dressings so you don't get bored. And just eat them. Make them. Put lots of avocados. That make it creamy. Every morning, or not every morning, every 11 a.m. p.m. or 12 when you have your first meal, make it a chia porridge. Chia porridge is so easy. Take six tablespoons of chia, pour in some fresh nut milk up the bowl. You can cover it with saran wrap, stick it in your refrigerator. Wake up in the morning, and you'll have it. You can do it. You don't have to do it for that long. You don't have to let it sit for that long. Well, actually, you can eat it within 2 hours. But that's going to give you lots of omega-3s. You need omega-3s, omega-6s, all the essential amino acids. So you do all that, you're going to be better. You're going to get better. You have to get better. You have to get better. And then you go on. Then you can go on a juice and or water cleanse. All right. So the magnesium you're just taking too much, I would think. Just take less. Yeah, and you can drink chlorophyll 1 time a day. That's very, very good. And remember, plants are chlorophyll. All right. Okay, so why do some people, this is a good question, why do some love carrot juice for healing cancer while others swear it's too much sugar? If you ask 1,000 people, you'll get 1,000 answers. You're right. It's extremely unknown, complicated, to a degree, if you read too much into it. Now, what's important to know about carrots and carrot juice is that okay, so carrots have okay, let's look at the sugar, because sugar's the idea. Of the sugars that carrots have, the most is sucrose, then glucose, then fructose. Okay, so what are they? Sucrose is basically glucose and fructose together, right? So glucose by itself, fructose by itself is called a monosaccharide, monoglyceride. You put them together, you got a diglyceride, and the sucrose is a diglyceride. Sucrose is also what we call the common table sugar. So your body can't absorb that disaccharide; it'll break it down into glucose and fructose. So remember, glucose will stimulate your pancreas to produce insulin. When you get high insulin levels, your cancer cells grab it first and they eat first. So that does happen. Fructose is picked up specifically by cancer cells by the GLUT5 receptor, and it can use it for fuel. It doesn't stimulate insulin, so it does not preferentially feed cancer, but it does feed it. However, it's got almost all the vitamin A's. It's got incredible minerals, fiber. It's an amazing, amazing food. And yeah, eating carrots is probably a better idea than drinking the juice, as far as I can see. I would say get your vitamins and your nutrients from eating green juices that are flavored with carrots, or flavored with red apples or green apples, whatever you need to flavor it with, so that you enjoy it, because you gotta love it. You have to be loving it. If you're not loving it, don't eat it. Get something new, okay? Or fix it. But again, the carrots, that's the thing about carrots. So keep that in mind, okay? Yeah. All right, so now, why do I experience extreme bloating on a low-fat, plant-based diet? I am a vegan. Yeah. Okay, now, remember, the brain is what, 70% fat? We make 37 million new cells per second, okay? And each one of them needs a plasma membrane, which is around 50% fat. They need mitochondrial membranes, they need nuclear membrane, which are fat. Okay, so whoever said we need a low-fat diet must have been on a low-fat diet. We need a high-fat diet. We need a lot of fat to get in there. I mean healthy fat. I mean zero bad fat. Yeah, don't eat fried anything, right? And certainly don't eat the animal fat. But I'm talking about fresh seeds. Pumpkin seed. Make a pumpkin seed butter. It's crazy delicious. Yeah, get those good fats. Get your high fats. And I don't know why you're bloated, but your bloating is obviously from having an unhealthy bacteria, unhealthy gut microbiota. You got to get a healthy microbiota. So let's do that. Get a healthy microbiota. And you can do it. You can do it. You can do it just by eating healthy foods. I like, there's a brand I use for probiotics called Ultimate Flora, because they have like 150 billion, and they have like 40 species. You can get that. You can get other ones. But then just by eating the healthy food, they'll show up. They'll show up because they are in there, and they'll colonize, and they'll do better, and they'll produce lactic acid, which will make the unhealthy bacteria die and all that. And you'll lose your bloating. So you got to get on a good high fat diet, because you're making new cells, and so chia seeds is going to celebrate a lot. Take care of a lot of your problems, because it's full of soluble fiber, which will get, yeah, and it does, and you've got all your omegas and everything. So yeah, forget it. So let's go back to here. Okay, so now our questions were back at the top here. there was one I saw very interesting, and I got to find it because, yeah, it was somebody who said, yeah, Sharina, hi Sharina, you said you read that taking THC as a suppository doesn't absorb, so has no benefits. Is this true? Here's the source article. So I read the source article, and the source article, actually you didn't, that's not what he said. His conclusion was, right, his conclusion was, so now for the data. There are a number of studies showing both oral and rectal absorption of similar doses of cannabinoids. It seems pretty clear that the bioavailability through rectal absorption is about twice that of oral. There are many variables and we can much to learn, but rectal delivery of cannabis is not new and it will become more common and better. So that's the guide that you referred me to. So maybe earlier it made it sound confusing, but that's what he said, all right? In another article, most of the THC that enters the body is metabolized by the liver into over 100 metabolites, right? So when we're talking about eating or smoking, right now it's the 11-hydroxy-THC that gets people high, right? So if you eat it or smoke it, it's going to go through the liver and you're going to wind up with a lot of 11-hydroxy-THC and you're going to get high. And if you want to get high, that's one thing, all right? But you might not, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to be alive and alert and present for their life. You know, I mean, I think when we're young, we like to get high. We like to do drugs and drink, and it's just part of what being young is. But as you get older, you kind of really enjoy having your mind, right? And then even and as you know, when people even get older, like a lot of people in their 70s and 80s can't remember where their house is, can't remember things, and they just would love to have their old mind back, right? So please protect your mind. You know, when you're young, don't mess around too much. I know my words mean nothing to you, but I'm just telling you. You know, one day you're gonna say, "Gosh, I wish I hadn't done so much," whatever it is. So, now, does THC? Now, THC is tetrahydrocannabinol, which is part of cannabis, just like CBD is, right? Cannabidiol. So together, anyway. So it turns out that a really, really good. So we use it specifically for pain, and we've got to give it rectally. So we give it like about 70-75%. THC with 25 to 30% CBD in a rectal suppository, and they don't get high, you know. And I have older folks from Midwest who would never think of smoking marijuana or taking marijuana, who are using 500 milligrams twice a day rectally, and they're completely normal. And here's a study in 2019, El Solhi, well-known researcher in the area. He's the most recently 18. El Solhi and his team found that the concentration of delta-9 THC in blood plasma after rectal administration of a HS suppository was about 70 to 80% bioavailable, almost 2.5 times higher than orally ingested THC. So you're getting the good stuff rectally. So we have people that come in on they're taking OxyContin, they're taking morphine, they're taking Dilaudid, because cancer, depending on where it is, can be painful. If it's in the bones, it can be extremely painful. If it's in the pancreas, it can be extremely painful. If it's in, a lot of anywhere, it can be painful. It can be painful. It's a painful process. And they wind up taking these opiates, which is what, OxyContin, Vicodin, morphine, methadone, they're all opiates, okay? And first of all, it's ridiculous for pain. It's ridiculous. I don't even know how we ever got into it, because it makes you feel good. I think, I mean, most people get nauseous and vomit from it. That's why when they in the hospital, often when we give you something like Demerol, which is an opiate, we give it with promethazine or Phenergan, which is an anti-nausea to help you not vomit while you eat it. So I mean, yeah. But anyway, so people come in, they're addicted to it because it's not they're addicted. Yeah, and you understand the addiction to an opiate when you're in a lot of pain is not at all like the addiction to an opiate if you're out like buying it on the side on a side street, buying a bag of whatever it is and going home and shooting it. That kind of addiction and this addiction completely different. This addiction, the person doesn't enjoy it. It's not like they want it. They want the pain relief, but they're not enjoying the high. So they'll be able to get off it easy because remember, it's only 72 hours that it takes for your body to get rid of heroin, to get rid of morphine, to get rid of those things. Now, Suboxone, which they give you instead, stay away from that. That takes much longer to get off. It's much harder to kick. So don't use Suboxone to get off of your opiates. And then same with methadone. They give you methadone. Methadone is much harder to get off than the opiates. The opiates, 72 hours you go through crazy hell, and then you're okay. And then then you find out where the addiction is, because the addiction is not in the body, it's in the mind. And the mind wants to get high again. But anyway, going back to these suppositories, putting these suppositories in the rectum twice a day. Sometimes we do for some people who have a lot of pain, maybe 3 times a day, or put 1.5 in, and it goes away. It's got to have a high THC to CBD ratio. You're not going to get the 11-hydroxy tetrahydrocannabinol, so you're not going to get high and stoned. 500 milligrams twice a day. If you took it orally, even Cheech and Chong wouldn't like it. Even, what's his name? Who's that dude? Who's the guy? Snoop Dogg, who's smoking it all the time. He'd have a hard time with 500 milligrams twice a day. It's a pretty heavy dose. I don't know if he might be able to handle it. Who knows how much he smokes. But anyway, it's really, I'll tell you something, you guys. I don't know how old you all are, but being sober, being clear, really feeling with your hands and feeling with your body and seeing and smelling and being alive and breathing and experiencing the because you're not going to be alive forever. We're not all going to be alive forever. It doesn't last. And you don't want to be in your last moments and say, oh my God, I blew it. I wasn't even around. I was wherever. So yeah, my goal in life is to be as sober and aware and as clear-headed, and I love life. I don't want to be fogged away from it. So good. Yeah. So we got some stuff. I just wanted and another thing is, so El Soli's research could have significant implication for cancer patients and others suffering from conditions that may require very high doses of cannabinoids, but who are unable to smoke or ingest their medicine. Yeah, so it's very good. And then here was another study. The bioavailability of rectal root is approximately twice that of the oral root. So I think that was the wrong conclusion from that. So okay. Twice that. They're all saying twice that. Yeah. All right. So let's see what else is going on. What other kind of questions we have happening today? I have peripheral T-cell lymphoma. I've done the chemo and I'm almost in remission. The hospital is recommending a stem cell transplant. My sister is a perfect match. I'm not sure what to do. They're telling me that if I don't do the transplant, the cancer will come back, and they apparently tend to come back more aggressive each time. This is my second time having lymphoma. I had radiation to the left axilla in 2017. Also had a pea-sized cervical cancer cut out in 2018. I'm not sure what to do. Stem cell plant scares me. I would love to know your thoughts. Diana or Clara. Diana. Okay. Well, yeah. So lymphomas, T-cell lymphomas, are not the same as B-cell lymphomas, of course. And they can be a problem. Now, one thing about stem cell transplants is they do work. You know, there are some things in conventional medicine that work really nicely, and this is one of them. The problem is, of course, that in order to give you a stem cell, and the fact that you have a perfect match is amazing. It's truly amazing. Now, you're watching from my website, Clara or Diana. So I hope you have either Instagram or TikTok. My thoughts on blood type. Oh, let me tell you about that. My thoughts on blood type. So I think this is really, really a personal decision. Now, there are ways. What I would do is find out. If you came to me, I'd say, let's look at your mouth. Let's do an acupuncture meridian assessment. At least see if we can find out if there's anything that's causing this that we can remove. Let's clean you out. Let's do all that. Let's see what we can do so this stops happening, right? Yes, it's coming from your bone marrow. So yes, cleaning out your bone marrow, which they do with heavy, heavy drugs, and then they put in this other new bone marrow, and yeah. And I've seen a lot of people do quite well with it. So, you know, it's not a horrible option. It's scary because, yeah, and they've got to tell you that, of course, you know, you can, when we kill off all your good white blood cells and stuff like that, you could die and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and that's true. You know, but anyway, so that's what I do. I say, let's do dental. And dental, I'm telling you, you don't know it's there. You're not going to find it on x-ray. You can't go to a regular dentist. You've got to go to a biological dentist. There is an association, International Association of Medical and Biological Dentists. Or I think that's what it's called. But these are dentists who studied dentistry, but they went beyond it. And they use things that are compatible. They test to make sure that whatever substance they're going to put in your mouth is compatible with your body, and it's not going to cause you to have all kinds of immune responses to them. That's really, really important, right? They certainly wouldn't put in a root canal because root canals are dead teeth. They're not going to. No one wants a piece of dead tissue in their body. Dead tissue in your body is going to cause a major problem. And what we're finding is that they cause. If you have one long enough, you'll have a cancer on that meridian, and the body does have meridians. Now, what are meridians? In case of you that don't know, now I'm a medical doctor, so I was trained the whole medical stuff. I use blood tests, I use PET scans, surgeries, whatever we need to do. And I know medications, I know blah 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 blah. Okay, however, our perspective from the Western view is not the only perspective by any means, and it's also not as precise, not as what's the word? For example, there are subtleties going on in the body that we just can't detect. And here it is, you guys. Now, you guys who have cancer, what do doctors love to say? Well, we're going to just watch and wait. Watch and wait what? You're going to watch and wait the tumors to grow? You got these little nodules in your lung, and we're not sure what they are. Well, what could they be? Yeah, we're not sure what they are. We're just going to watch them. And then watch them, okay? And then, so now if they get bigger, and then you decide, and then you'll stick a needle in there, spread it around more, and you'll find out that they are cancer, and then you're going to give me a lot of poison? I mean, is that the real plan? Anyway, the reason they have to watch and wait is because they don't know what's happening. I have to tell you this, and I have to say it, and I don't know how else to say it, but then just say the truth. Hospitals don't know what they're doing unless it's acute care. If it's acute care, they're good. And I mean by acute care, you broke your femur. Your baby's coming out the wrong way. You just had a heart attack. Just had a stroke. And even then, they're not doing all that they could do. You'd be better off to go and get hyperbarics if you just had a stroke. So they're not, even with that, and even with heart attacks, hyperbarics. There's, there were some amazing studies of giving intravenous hydrogen peroxide during heart attacks could abate the heart attack too, right? And a lot of times we know that heart attacks are caused by vasospasm and stuff like that. So there's magnesium. There's ways to deal with it that they don't. But I'm just saying, okay, mostly in acute care, you want to go to a hospital. But other than that, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So let me just tell you something. Throughout my years and years and years and years of decades of working with people with cancer and other people in intensive care units and things like that, and people that just walked off the street, and their families, etc. I mean, I've worked with everybody and everything, and there's just, the blood tests are very gross. In other words, for your blood test to be abnormal, so for your creatinine, which is your kidney, to be abnormal, your kidneys have to really be in trouble. By then it's what? How do I know this is going to happen before it happens so that we can work on it? Or same with any of the other ones that are going on. We look at so what do we do in functional medicine? Now, functional medicine is supposed to be us allopaths, us MDs, our answer to the fact that hospitals don't know what they're doing. So our answer is be functional. So let's look at a C-reactive protein, which is going to tell us if there's total body inflammation. Let's look at a galactin-3, which will tell us if we're going to have total body inflammation. Let's look at hormone. Let's balance hormones. So it's a much better approach. Functional doctors a much better approach, but they still have allopathic mindset, which I'm not going to go into yet. But anyway. So what's so important about the Meridian system? Well, it's we don't know how old it is, because we don't know how old anything is, because all the great libraries of the world have been burned over and over and over again. They've been burned. The fantastic libraries, all the beautiful, right? And so now, what's the word that we like to use now? Not rhetoric. What is it that everybody uses? You see, I forget these things because I don't want to know what everybody uses. I don't like using idiomatic speech. When you use idiomatic speech, you're an idiot because you're not thinking. You're using a word that somebody said, and what you might think that idiom means and what I think that idiom means might be different, and probably are different because we have different lifestyles. But I don't like idiomatic speech, and I don't like acronyms, and I don't like a stitch and nine will save time. The birds of a feather flock together. Opposites attract. What? Wait a minute. Birds of a feather flock together and opposites attract? What? Okay. So anyway, I know I get carried away. Apologize. I don't know how not to get carried away. But anyway, what is this ancient system that the Chinese knew, the Japanese knew, but I think it started in China, is the Meridian system. And the Meridian system knows that all these certain organs are connected together. They go through the teeth and all that sort of thing, and the jaws and stuff like that. So think of it like this. Think of it like in your house. You've got a circuit breaker, and one of the fuses go out, and you find out, oh, the bedroom and 2 bathrooms are off. The lights are off. It's a fuse. Or the dining room and the kitchen are off. It's a fuse. Okay, so those are circuits. And that's what meridians are in our body. And there's no way to find out. you got to actually do. There's a thing, and I got some training by Dr. Simon YU in St. Louis, master. But anyway, you look at the different areas of the meridians on the hands and the feet, and if it goes, okay, everything's okay, because you got to. It's all it's doing is picking up. Is there enough electricity moving through there? Because remember, energy in biological systems is electricity. What happened? Something's blocking it. So you got to figure out what it is in that meridian, and gosh, that works amazing. Imagine finding out that the reason your irregular heart rate is that you have an irregular heart rate where you're going to the cardiologist and they're giving you all kinds of drugs to take is really due to the fact of some retained fragments of teeth from an extracted wisdom tooth. Imagine. Would your cardiologist have brought that up? No. And all you have to do is get that out and ozonated by a biological dentist, and what happens? It's gone. And you're not taking any drugs. So that's what I'm saying. It's, very, very important. So anyway, what I would recommend for you, the lady that's asking me about the peripheral T-cell lymphoma, is go find Dr. Simon Yu, make an appointment, and find out what is going on, what is causing it. And if we can remove the cause and live a healthy life, you won't need the stem cell transplant. However, if there's some reason why you can't do that or whatever, or you're in a hurry, or you're feeling pressure, or you have a lot of fear, do it. But the other thing too is you understand is that what really harms us. Now, if you're almost in remission with that, all that means is that you're becoming to the point where they can't detect it anymore. It doesn't mean it's gone or anything like that. Please, everyone, understand that the word remission by the witches and warlocks in the House of Horrors. Remission just means we can't find it anymore. But it's there. Because in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, it comes back. I mean, it's all over. And you say, and what do they say? Oh, it came back. Well, where did it go? It went somewhere, like, out of my body. Where did it was like, what? Where did it go? It was in my desk. It was in the car, in the trunk. But it went somewhere, and then it got bored, so it came back. You understand the words they use, and we go with it. Well, it never went away. It never went away because they didn't get the cancer stem cells. And if you don't get the cancer stem cells, you can't stop the process. It's going to keep going. All right? And so you gotta work on ways of working on cancer stem cells. So even if you get this transplant and it all works out well, you gotta hope all the cancer stem cells are gone. But then again, remember, we live in the 21st century, and we're very likely to make more problems in other organs. Yeah. Okay, so here's a question. Now, these are all from, sorry you guys, these are submissions from the website, and this one is, what should I do to lower my glucose? Well, stop eating glucose, number one, which is all sweets, bread, potato, rice. Carbohydrates are glucose. Okay, so rice, pasta, bread, cake, potato. One of the main ones, right? Anyway, all they are is glucose molecules strung together by a particular bond, an alpha bond, that our body can break down, and then we release it, and we have glucose, and our glucose goes up. So that's one way. Another way is to make sure you don't eat for 18 hours a day, and that you stop eating 4 hours before sleep. So that's easy. Stop eating at 5, eat your first meal at 11. Easy, done. But all that time allowed your body for the glucose insulin dynamic to get under control and everything to get better. And you'll eventually get better. You'll be able to utilize glucose better, and it won't be high. Your body will now become glucose sensitive rather than glucose resistant, or insulin sensitive rather than insulin resistant, which is what they call the early diabetes. But that's the way to do it. that'll work. It works. It works. And you can, I mean, of course, you can't get away from glucose. You need it to live. It's like getting away from oxygen. You can't get away from oxygen. But the glucose, like spinach has glucose. I mean, there's everything's got it. So it's just a matter of that timing and all the things I said. And also, you got to understand at least 80% of your food you don't thermally degenerate it with fire. Don't cook it. Yep. Hello, Farah. I am Farah. I used to have ovarian cancer and now I am doing good, but I have a lot of breast cysts and I don't know what to do, and I am scared it becomes cancer, and I refuse to do a biopsy, and I don't know what diet to do, knowing that I am a super thin and I am on a healthy keto diet. All right, well, a lot of information in there, Farah. Fantastic for you. First of all, that you're doing well. You had ovarian cancer, so that's beautiful, wonderful, and fantastic. And you have breast cysts. So when we think of ovarian cancer, we've got to realize that in women, the reproductive cycle is dominated by pretty much two fundamental hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and estrogen is the first part of the cycle, progesterone the second part of the cycle. Anyway, for a variety of reasons, women become estrogen dominant, plus the fact that we're living in an environment where there are hormone blockers, etc. So one of the consequences, or the consequences of an estrogen dominant diet is breast cysts, which can become breast cancer. Ovarian cysts, which can become ovarian cancer. Uterine fibromas, which can become uterine cancers. And stuff like that. Endometrial. Right? Anything that's related to those. So you got to get your hormones balanced by a biological doctor, a doctor who's what they call functional doctor, someone who's studied how to using plant-based biological identical hormones to balance your diet. And you can use compounding pharmacies. And a compounding pharmacy, as you may or may not know, is different than a retail pharmacy. A retail pharmacy is like, Walgreens or CVS or I don't know what else there are. But anyway, retail meaning that they're selling retail products that are produced by pharmaceutical companies. They're already patented, they're labeled and all that. They're retail pharmacists. But the compounding pharmacist is the old-fashioned guys, the guy that our great-grandparents used to know, where they mix the stuff up as you need it and they put it together. And they usually use really good, wholesome stuff to do it. So yeah, there's ways of doing that. And that's what biologically identical hormone replacement. So that's what you got to do. You want to balance that. The other big one with breast cyst is iodine. And Lugol's iodine, which is a combination of potassium iodide and iodine, is very, very good. You can get it in a liquid form. And for breast cysts, it's very, very important. Fibrocystic breast is to get some sort of paint and paint the inside walls of your vagina a few times a week with the Lugol solution. If you still have ovaries, if you don't have ovaries, if you had ovarian cancer and they took out your ovaries, it won't work. Yeah, you need to have ovaries in order for that to work. So other than that, what I would do is make sure you're taking iodine, the Lugols, like I suggested, but be doing learn to do a basal body temperature so that you can manage your own, because because Lugols can suppress thyroid function, so you're going to have to take that to be okay. You're going to have to take that. And then you can actually paint your breast. You can put the Lugol solution on your breasts, and it'll absorb it. When it stops absorbing, after a while, you're probably starting to get enough, and you don't want to stain your breasts. and then just take it. And then balance your hormones, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Also, the other thing about women with breasts, women should understand, is that, and it's not often talked about, but the advent of the brassiere, of the bra. Actually, you know who came up with the most popular bras that women wear nowadays? Uplift bras and stuff. A wealthy, eccentric, what was he? Airplane designer. I think he was involved in making movies too. Anyway, his name was, gosh, I just forgot it. Howard Hughes, eccentric guy. Anyway, Howard Hughes invented the uplift breast for an actress by the name of Jane Russell, who was famous way back when, before all of you guys were born. Not me, of course, but anyway, she made a well-known movie with Marilyn Monroe. Again, you probably know of her, but she was born a long time ago. And the name of the movie was Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And in that movie, Jane Russell, for the first time, wore that bra. And she had a deal with Howard Hughes. He said, you wear this bra in the movie. I want to get it out there. I want people to know about it. I'll give you $1,000 a week. Was it a week? Or a month? I think it was a week. For the rest of your life. It's a good deal. I don't care what era you live in. That's a pretty good deal. Anyway, so she did it. And that's it. But anyway, wearing bras, what do we know about wearing bras and cysts and cancers? We know that there's actually a correlation between the number of hours that a woman wears a bra during the day, or during a 24-hour period, and her risk of getting breast cancer. Why? Well, if you were not wearing a bra and you were walking, your breasts, whether they're small or large, it doesn't matter, are still going to be moving according to gravity, and especially if you run or anything like that. And what that means is the lymphatics and your arms are going to move, and again, it comes to movement, right? So a lot of women, I know especially young women, you guys go and you go to gyms and you wear these tight things on your brassiere, on your breasts. Don't. They've got to bounce. They've got to move. They've got that's lymphatic flow. That's nature. It's called gravity. It's called breasts. It's the way it is. So, don't be fashionable. Forget it. And I know then there's this thing about, well, I don't want people to see my breasts. Come on. I mean, then exercise alone, or go jogging alone, or something like that. There must be a way that you can do it. I mean, I don't know what it is. I'm not a woman, so I'm not saying anything bad about it. But I know that there are things you can put over your nipples that'll hide them so that someone can't see them, and they right. But that way your breasts can move and bounce. That's very, very important. So for this lady here, and I'm so glad you didn't do a biopsy. You don't need anybody to do a biopsy. For what? Forget the biopsy. Tell him to go biopsy himself. But tell him to make sure not to tell you the answer. You don't want to know it. All right? So that's enough with that. Okay. Huh. All right, I'll answer that question first in a minute, but my relative was diagnosed with colon cancer stage 14. Stage 4 maybe. Metastatic in liver, completed 2 cycles of chemo, but now seems it stopped working. Yeah, well, it never did work. All it did was to poison him. And we know that chemo poisons will shrink the primary tumor, but it's going to ensure that you're going to get metastasis. So there's many other things that this person needs to do. So I mean, many things. So please go to drlodi.com. It's not something I can just answer. I mean, a lot of things. He needs to cleanse. He needs to modify his. He needs to cleanse colonic. Juice cleanse, colonics, lymphatic work, hormone balancing, prayer, meditation, exercise, movement, IV vitamin C, IV artesunate, IV quercetin, curcumin, IV ozone, and it goes on, and then some IL-2, some TA1, mistletoe, and then a bunch of different supplements. Eating right, you get and eating, and it's just there's just so much. I can't just say it. So let's have a talk. Come on, go to drlodi.com and let's talk. And I'm going to be doing other things in the future. So in the future, maybe we'll do one specifically on that, I guess, on something like on. I want to do small talks with people who are interested in that particular subject, because I know that someone who's got prostate cancer is not particularly interested in how well you do with pancreatic cancer. And someone who's got breast cancer is not particularly interested in how well I do with prostate cancer. So what I would like to do is have different groups. Let's have a breast cancer group, let's have a colon cancer group, let's have an ovarian cancer group, melanoma group, whatever, right? And then we'll talk about it in detail and be relevant for everybody. Okay, sound like a good idea? I think it does. I think it sounds like a great idea. So let me see. I can't get to everybody. What are we coming at? We're coming at here. From last Sunday's live stream. Okay, I can't do too many here because I got to go to some of the new ones here. But will your dietary and lifestyle changes have an effect on pulmonary fibrosis? Okay, fibrosis means scarring. It's early scarring. It can go back. It can go back. We have found that we can reverse cirrhosis and we can reverse of the liver and fibrosis of the liver with alpha lipoic acid and some other things, silymarin and other things. So yeah, you can, but dietary and lifestyle will have a profound effect because it's not going to get worse. It's going to get better. Your breathing is going to get better, and there's all these foods are going to be really good for it. They're going to promote the healing, because when you find out what's in healing, when you find out what's in really human food. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing what's in broccoli sprouts. I mean, if there was a drug that had what broccoli sprouts, it'd be $1 trillion seller. I mean, this is magic. When Hippocrates said, "Let thy food be thy medicine be thy food," this guy was right on. All right. So and it's always been that way. So yes, it will help tremendously. And there's a lot of other things you can do as well. All right, a lot of things you can and should do as well, and it can clear up. And I hope your pulmonary fibrosis is not that bad right now. But of course, yes, can help you. Can you please repeat the name of the manufacturer for Thymus? Well, the only place I know of in America is for those of you who want to get Thymosin Alpha 1, which is the peptide, is Peptide Science. I like. TaylorMade, but it's not available. But Thymosin Alpha 1 is the Peptide Science, and you can go online and find it. Okay, Cheryl, Mendy, I have to talk to you. In my pancreas, my pancreas spread to my lungs and liver. They told me I have till 1 year, till first of year. First of year, oh, come on, look at, first of all, they don't know when they're going to die. They don't know when Biden's going to die, if he is even still alive. They don't know anything. It's a lie. Okay? All right. You're probably sick. You need some really important help by people who know how to help you. They don't know how to help you. I wish I could help you. I wish I were there and I had my facilities. There's a lot of things that you can do because cancer spreads, and that's what it does do. But I don't know how sick you are and all that sort of thing. But they told you have the first of the year. How a terrible thing. But don't listen to them, please. We got to get you healthy. You got to get you healthy. So I don't know if you can eat. Sounds like you might not be able to eat. You might not be. So really, I don't know. Mendy, please call me. drlodi.com. Make an appointment. Okay. drlodi.com. Yeah, please. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so let's go back up here. Come on. We got time yet? Up here to some questions here. Okay. I need ideas on how to stay asleep all night. I go to bed early, but I wake up around 2. Thank you. Julie. All right, Julie. Well, welcome to the club. No, I mean, yeah. Okay. All right. So sleeping is, just like all of physiology, it's kind of like a perfect storm has to come together. And usually it does. If you've been active during the day and, your body's not stuffed full and you haven't had a big fight with somebody or you're not super concerned over something or, in other words, then there's a chance that you're going to get to sleep. Now, we all need melatonin because we have pineal. We have things disrupting our pineal gland. Please, everybody, if you don't know this, know it. Fluoride is poison. And any source that it may be getting into your body, eliminate that, please. It destroys the pineal gland. Pineal gland is becoming more and more important the more we know of it. I mean, yes, it makes melatonin. Yes, it makes dimethyltryptamine. Yes, it makes... I always forget that other one. Anyways, another hormone that kind of oversees the direction of it. But it oversees also many, many things. It's a little gland in the middle of it. But it also makes a substance called dimethyltryptamine, which is responsible for a lot of our... yes, great idea to devote... You're right, exactly, and that's what I'm going to do. So we're gonna have like this membership thing where I can now like devote time, and we'll do that, right? We're gonna have and that'll be it, and it'll be really good. And I apologize for the way this works, but I'm doing the best I can right now. I'm just trying to answer as many things I think are as important. But this is important. So if you're waking up at 2, I'm afraid that maybe your cortisol is kicking in. Cortisol starts to get produced around midnight. Now, the normal cortisol cycle is that it starts around midnight or so, around your reset point, and it goes up and it peaks at 7 or 8 a.m. and then it goes down throughout the day, and around 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m. it's lower and lower. And that's kind of the cycle. And a lot of people, because of our artificial lives, we all live artificial lives. We live in boxes, we drive around in machines, we talk to machines, we have relationships with the machines, we name machines, we love machines, we're insane, and we don't talk to people anymore. I mean, we're just messed up. We're messed up. But anyway, where was I? So, the pineal gland, fluoride, very, very important. Now, for that reason, we're not making enough melatonin, and one of the purposes of melatonin is to make you sleepy, but also clean up your hydroxyl radical. So it's an incredible antioxidant. And third, it's like a major contributor to your immunity, to make you more strong, to fight off conditions that are called infections and stuff like that, and cancer. Very, very important. I mean, people who are blind have less cancer than people who can see because they're always in the dark. They're always making melatonin. So you need to be taking melatonin at night, and I would advise you start with 5, 10 milligrams, then go up to 20, 40, at least 40 a night, depending on your age and your condition. I personally take 80 milligrams a night orally, and then I take 4 of the 5 milligrams sublingual after that. And I get a nice, beautiful one of sleep. I don't wake up. So, yeah, that's very important. But cortisol also. But getting to sleep early so that by the time, so like getting to sleep at 8 p.m. is our physiological time. Sorry, I'm not the inventor of the universe. You can't argue with me. And don't get mad at you. Oh, by the way, okay, there's some people listening? Yeah. Okay, somebody had my exact Instagram page, but it had like 11 followers or something like that. And it's called Dr. Thomas Lodi 1, because mine is Dr. Thomas Lodi. Anyway, and they were going around, and I don't know what they were saying to people. I think one person, they asked for money for a consultation or something like that. But anyway, it wasn't me. A couple people have told me that, and we reported them, and they were shut down. But I would never going to ask anyone for money. You know, all that kind of stuff is handled through the website. There's these systems that are in place that are completely safe and legal and all that sort of thing. But that's that. And I don't know if someone's impersonating me or saying stuff, but I think it's pretty hard to impersonate me because I'm pretty weird, right? So, yeah, you all know that. Yeah, I'm weird. So I'm not normal. I don't think normal. I don't talk normal. And I'm not normal. I would never want to be normal. And please never accuse me of it. Okay, so anyway, that's that. So I just wanted to say that, all right? Now, so if you're waking up early, what I'm thinking is that your cortisol is kicking in, you didn't have enough melatonin. All right, sleep with a night mask, plug your ears up. It's got to be black, 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 black. You have to be below a certain a light source, below a certain amount of light in order for melatonin to work, because melatonin is made from tryptophan, which is an amino acid that turns into serotonin, and then but if the lights go out, that goes all the way down and completes the cycle, and instead of making serotonin, it makes melatonin. Serotonin's for the day. So serotonin and cortisol are used during the day, and they make you feel good and happy, and they get you active and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And then at nighttime, they both go down, and you go to sleep, and you're mellow. So if you're waking up at 2, that's probably what's happening, Julie. Yeah. Can you avoid a lumpectomy by getting rid of a tumor completely through diet and natural therapies? Absolutely, and I've seen it many, many times. Many, many times. So you can. But you got to be with the right people, right? And they got to know what they're doing. There's so many people doing vitamin C the wrong way. So many doctors. So, I mean, holistic doctors, mixing this with that and this. They're just, So if you got somebody in mind, you want to work with somebody in your hometown, that's what I'll do. I'll work with you. I'll help you figure out what's a really good plan for yourself. And then you find a doctor in your hometown who's willing to collaborate so we can work together, and you stay home. I'm not trying to bring people to my clinic in Arizona. I mean, you're very welcome to come. Very welcome to come. Love to have you. We have everything, almost. Don't have hyperbaric yet, but we have everything. We have the only kind of hyperthermia you should ever do. And we've got everything. We just got everything. And it's the people. The people are just amazing. When you leave, you're going to wind up crying and hugging them. It's like high school graduation. Anyway, there's a lot of love and caring and everything, from the food you eat to the time you go to sleep. But that's what has to happen. So if you've got a lump, you can avoid a lumpectomy 100%. Okay, so now, what can you tell me about non-small cell? The oncologist keeps telling me you're stage 4. Non-small cell lung cancer Well, they've just like they did with lymphomas, they divided it. You know, lymphomas are Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's, and the non-Hodgkin's is everything. Well, it's the same with the small cells, and then there's the non-small cells, which are all kinds, adenocarcinomas, and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, but, and this is a really important time to remind everybody something. The difference between ovarian cancer, brain cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, skin cancer, etc., is the first word. And that first word is location. Location, location, location. Other than that, cancer biology is the same. Anatomy is the same. We all think that we are different. My cancer, we're all the same. We're all the same. And that's why in the Oracle of Delphi, in Greece, above the Oracle of Delphi, it says, know thyself. Why should you know yourself? Because if you know yourself, you know everyone. Yeah, turns out to be true, okay? When I took anatomy class in medical school, and we had like, I don't know, 2 or 3 people on each cadaver. Cadaver is a dead body, as you know. We all had our dead bodies. And as the classes, you know, we had class, we came to the lab, and you cut up the body, cut up different parts of the body, and we would find different organs and vessels and nerves, and we just looked at everything, okay? So we had a test, and our test was this. It was the practical test, where you sat at this table, which is not your table, somebody else's, with their cadaver, and there's a little string around there with a question that says, this artery feeds which organs? So you got to know the artery, you got to know the organ, you got to know a lot. And you got 1 minute. You got to write it down. And then you switch to another cadaver. And then they got something tied around over here. And they go, the embryological origin of this structure is, you got to know. So what I learned, and everybody learned, is that you take off the skin, not even with the skin, we're the same. The color might be different. My nose might be bigger, your nose might be wider, your lips are wider. We're the same. We're the same. We're the same. And psychospiritually, guess what? Everybody needs to touch. Everybody needs to be touched. Everybody needs to love. Everybody needs to be loved. Everybody needs that. We all have the same emotional needs, the same psychological needs. They are the same. And the apparent differences are apparent. A person wears clothes, and so you think of them as a certain way. A guy wearing a suit, you'll think of one way. A guy wearing jeans, cutoffs, or whatever, you think of another way. You know, it's clothes. But if you were at a nudist colony where everybody was nude and you didn't know you know, after it takes 5 minutes to get used to the fact that your genitals are showing, and okay, they're all the same, believe me, they're all the same. So anyway, so you get past that part and you see that everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. Yeah. Now, what's different is what you know and what you don't know. Okay? Yeah. So I got onto that because what was it? Okay, so here's a good question. Why do we need to take supplements, ivermectin, melatonin, etc. on juicing days? If you're juicing, it's not a problem. Remember, juicing is eating. It's liquid. It's a liquid diet, and yeah, you can. You don't need to. You can say, I'm just going to juice, and when I'm done juicing, I'll go back to it. Yeah, you can. But you can. You can. If you're doing a water fast, then no, don't take anything. Yeah, don't take anything. Yeah, very good. I'm glad, Sue, glad you just joined. That's fantastic. All right. Is it safe to take glutathione and NAC supplements with breast cancer diagnosis? Well, the NAC is very important. Glutathione is not safe. You wouldn't want to take that. That'll help the cancer cell. But the NAC will help all your other cells, so it's very good. Yes, take that. Why is ovarian cancer so hard to treat, and what can I do to help battle it? Well, actually, you know what? It's very interesting, and everybody will attest to this. Everybody will attest to this. Every cancer is hard to treat. None of them are like simple. I mean, I guess the simplest ones are like basal cell carcinomas of the skin or squamous cell carcinomas of the skin. They usually just cut them off and they're done. I mean, yes. I mean, some are easier, but in general, once the cancer is formed, it's very difficult. And what is difficult really is the state of mind. Because remember, everybody with cancer, remember something: the tumors that you have, tumor or tumors, are the fruit on the tree, and getting rid of the fruit on the tree is not going to change it. Because next spring, next fall, there'll be a harvest. So you don't just go cutting it all off. It's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve it. It's the systemic problems, and the roots are psychospiritual. The roots are psychospiritual. Now, I work with a guy named Tenzin Josh, who's an amazing human being, and he helps in that regard. He's putting out a 21 video series which will help people take you through the journey. Take you through the journey. He's an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy. He lived with the Dalai Lama for about 35 years, and he was a British psychologist, and so he's an amazing guy. But there are so many things to do. Whether it's ovarian, ovarian is serious. Oh, I agree, it is serious, but can do it, can manage it, can go away. Breast cancer can go away. Liver cancer, yeah. It's just the right combination of things has to happen. It's extremely, extremely, extremely complex. It's not. So when I hear, hope for cancer or whoever they are, oh, did I offend you? Sorry. I'm not sorry. Did I offend you? Well, whatever. We got a 3-week special. We got a 3-week special. Just come to it. You know what I have to say for that. I can't say it on the air, but I would. It starts with a B and it ends with a. Anyway, you don't do anything in 3 weeks. It is a change of life. Getting cancer is a tap on the shoulder by God, telling you the path that you're on is a little shorter than you would like, and that you need to make a right-hand turn here. You got to make that right-hand turn, and that right-hand turn is living up to changing your life. And doing it with gratitude and realizing that, wow, I now have the opportunity to become my potential. Fantastic. And I'm going to be an inspiration to everybody I know. That's what's going to happen. Right? Okay, so that's what happens. So regardless of your type, wherever it started, yeah. So anyway, Star, got to contact me. I mean, I don't know what to say, but you got to contact me and we'll do it. We'll take care of it. We'll work on it together. And then you guys stay in your hometown. We got to find dentists. We got to find colon therapists. We got to find lymphatic therapists. We got to find all the right people. And we can do it. We can do it. You don't have to, I mean, we have everything, but there are maybe other places that have everything. I have never seen them, but I've been looking. Anyway. Can you believe this? The artificial intelligence is talking to me. Ridiculous. Artificial intelligence is trying to have a conversation with me. Anyway, this is crazy. Let me see if we can do one more because I gotta go. Because I got consultations coming up. I answered that one. Is it terrible to take L-Glutamine powder as a supplement? No. Glutamine is an amino acid that yes, cancers use it. Cancers can use it just like they can use glucose, and they become glutamine addicted, and it can help them. Yes, that's true. But glutamine is also a carbon source, a nitrogen source. It's how cells, we need it. Without it, we're dead. And it is the fuel source for our lymphocytes, our immune cells that kill cancer. So we need glutamine. Also, it's the fuel source for our small intestines. They need it. It's the primary fuel source for them. So yeah. No, it's not. But anyway, fantastic. You guys, fantastic. Wait, one real quick one here. Quick one. You said, do you know how I can follow your recommended antifungals without a prescription? Fluconazole, itraconazole, hard to find. Yeah, and I'm very, very sorry about that. Very, very, very sorry about that. The way the law is that I can't write prescriptions out of state. So I have a license in New York, I have a license in Arizona, so I can write prescriptions there. If you're in Australia, I can't write prescriptions. If you're in the UK, I can't write prescriptions. If you're in Canada, I can't. If you're in California, I can't. If you're in Nebraska, I can't. Now, there are places online that we can get them, oh, you're talking about the antifungals. You're gonna have to go to a doctor and have them talk to me. Just tell them, hey, would you mind talking to my doctor? Tell him you'll pay him. Say, I'll pay you money to talk to my doctor. If that's what motivates them, rather than your well-being. If it's not your well-being that they care for, but it's only their money, then okay, say, here, I'll give you some money. Talk to this guy, and let's see if we can get this worked out. Ridiculous. Or go see Dr. Simon Yu, and he'll figure out exactly everything you need and make sure you get it. Anyway, I'm so sorry for that. But, you guys are wonderful, fantastic. And Facebook, I don't know what to say, but wherever you are, aloha, sawadee and see you all next week. Okay, and you guys, TikTok and Instagram, always here. Amazing.